Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we'll take a look at the life and career of Eddie Van Halen. Edward Lodewijk Van Halen was born on January 26 in 1955 in Amsterdam, Netherlands. He was the son of Jan Van Halen, a Dutch clarinetist, and Eugenia Van Halen, an Indonesian pianist. The Van Halen family moved to Pasadena, California in 1962 when Edward was just 7 years old. Eddie and his older brother Alex grew up in a musical household and were both trained on piano as children. Van Halen was never taught to read music. Instead, he watched recitals of Bach and Mozart and improvised. Between 1964 and 1967, he won first place in the annual piano competition at Long Beach City College. His parents wanted the boys to be classical pianists, but Van Halen gravitated toward rock music and was greatly influenced by the 1960s British invasion bands like the Beatles and the Dave Clark Five. Consequently, when Alex began playing guitar, Eddie bought a drum kit. However, after he heard Alex's performance of the Safaris drum solo on the song Wipeout, he gave Alex the drums and began learning the electric guitar. Edward's early influences were Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. He was also influenced by classical music, which he would later incorporate into his guitar playing. He learned to play by ear and started performing with his brother's band, the Broken Combs, where they performed at lunchtime at Hamilton Elementary School in Pasadena when he was in the 4th grade. In 1972, Eddie and Alex formed their own band called Mammoth, which later changed their name to Van Halen after the arrival of vocalist David Lee Roth and bassist Michael Anthony. The band quickly gained a following in the Los Angeles music scene with their high-energy performances and Eddie's distinctive guitar playing. Van Halen signed their first recording contract with Warner Brothers in 1977 and released their first self-titled album in 1978. The album was a massive success, reaching number 19 on the Billboard chart and eventually going diamond. Eddie's guitar playing on the album, including his use of tapping and harmonics, revolutionized the instrument, inspired a generation of guitarists. Van Halen went on to release several more successful albums throughout the 1980s, including Van Halen II, Women and Children First, and 1984, which featured the hit single Jump, featuring Eddie on keyboards. The band's success was fueled by Eddie's guitar playing, which continued to push the boundaries of rock music. He also contributed to the song Beat It on Michael Jackson's Thriller album. He also collaborated with Queen guitarist Brian May by creating a concept album called Starfleet Project. Starfleet Project was a 6-track album that was inspired by a Japanese science fiction series. The album was a departure from the traditional sounds of their bands, featuring heavy use of synthesizers and a futuristic, spacey sound. Despite the success of the band, tensions between Eddie and Roth led to the singer's departure from the band in 1985. Van Halen continued with new singer Sammy Hagar and released several successful albums including 5150, OU812, and For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. In 1996, Hagar left the band and former Extreme frontman Gary Cherone became the new lead singer. However, Cherone's tenure with the band was short-lived and he left in 1999. In 2003, Sammy Hagar rejoined the band for a reunion tour, but he left again in 2005. In 2006, Roth returned, but Anthony was replaced on bass guitar by Eddie's son Wolfgang. In 2007, the band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2012, the band released their final studio album, A Different Kind of Truth. It was Van Halen's first album with Roth in 28 years, and the only one to feature Wolfgang. Eddie's personal life was marked by drug and alcohol abuse, which led to a temporary hiatus from the band in the 90s. He eventually overcame his addictions and returned to the band, recording with and embarking on several tours. He is also known for his showmanship and his flamboyant stage presence, including his signature striped guitars and jumpsuits. He was also an accomplished guitar builder and designed his own line of guitars and amplifiers under the EVH brand. Eddie's health declined in his later years and he was diagnosed with tongue cancer in 2000, which he successfully overcame. However, he was later diagnosed with throat cancer, which ultimately led to his death on October 6, 2020, at the age of 65. Van Halen's music has been a significant influence on rock music and guitar playing. with Eddie Van Halen's distinctive sound and technique inspiring countless musicians. Despite numerous lineup changes and the tragic loss of Eddie Van Halen to cancer in 2020, the band's legacy lives on and their music continues to be celebrated by fans around the world. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel.